How's it going, everybody? I am DeanoGTO, and today we're going to be taking a look at the M6A2E1, the Mutant. So, this vehicle here is pretty interesting. It's got some interesting aspects to it. Now, I'm just going to quickly run through some of the weird aspects of this tank. The armor on the front is actually very good. Like, the hull used to be pretty much identical to the M6 at tier 6, but with buffed up armor values. And it used to have, I think, the same hull side armor as the M6 Tier 6, but nowadays it has 66 side armor, and the actual front of the hull was actually remodeled back when this thing was converted to HD, so it actually has flat armor on the front rather than the classic looking M6 hull. So it's an interesting looking vehicle, and it looks like some sort of like Frankenstein monster of like a T29, of like a prototype T29 and an M6. Like it's such a bizarre looking vehicle. Like you can see why people call it the Alien or the Mutant. Well, I've heard both of them. So yeah, the tank only has a 29 km/h top speed, but because the part of weight ratio on this thing's actually relatively good. I mean, it actually beats the KV5 in terms of specific power. And bear in mind, I use my KV5 with the removed speed governor, so I have over 1300 horsepower. It actually has a higher part of weight ratio than the KV5, so even though the top speed is only 29 kilometers an hour, it pretty much does that speed everywhere, which is a weird feeling because I expected this tank to be slow. Like, I was prepared for it to be really slow and take ages to get into any sort of position, but the mobility is nowhere near as bad as you may have expected, especially considering the frontal armor is pretty damn good. The turret armor is pretty decent as well. It just has the cupola that's the problem up here. But it does have a couple of other weaknesses which are easily missed. So these shoulder plates, they kind of work like something like a Type 4 heavy. Like if you're pointing the shoulder plate towards an enemy, like this is only like 191 to 200 millimeters effective armor because it's not that well sloped. But there is actually a small little area down here. Did you see this little area here? That is completely flat armor, and it's actually armor that can be shot whenever the tank is like on like this sort of angle. If you shoot right here, it's literally just going to be the base 191 armor pretty much. And it also has an issue when it comes to the roof armors. So this area up here is like 63 millimeters, so that's not going to be a problem. But this area here, on the entirety of the whole roof armor, is only 25 millimeters. Now, that's a big problem when it comes to overmatching. Like, that's a really big problem when it comes to overmatching because it's such a wide area and it's such a big area that it's going to be easily taken advantage of in fights versus tall vehicles. So if you come up against like a Lova as an example, if a Lova knows about that weakness and is actually on higher ground than you, they can just absolutely annihilate you in a head-to-head fight. So it's something you do need to be very aware of, and you need to be very careful about. So, let's see, so the next thing to mention is the gun. The gun has 204 penetration. That's actually really high for a preferential matchmaking premium. Like, 204 pen with 320 alpha, I think that's the highest damage slash pen combination you can get on a tiered premium match or preferential matchmaking premium, because the F250T and the Jagdtiger 88 are the only two that have more pen than this at 212, but they only have 240 alpha. The Super Pershing is the closest to this thing in terms of pen, 202 pen with 240 alpha, but this thing has 320 alpha and 204 pen. That's not bad. Like, that's actually pretty decent. So where's the best place for me to try and go to? Like, I'm heading down towards the south because I just instinctively head down towards the south. If I'm honest with you, I'm not really the biggest fan of this map. I liked it initially, but it's kind of worn. It's kind of worn out for me. I really don't like pushing forward on this map at all. It just feels like a chore, and it just feels awkward, and like you're always getting shot continuously with no real way to defend yourself. Like, if you're pushing forward through the town, you're just gonna get absolutely obliterated by everybody who's sitting in the like factory area. It's it's got an annoying amount of crossfire, and it makes it very difficult to actually push forward, especially in a vehicle like this, which is such weak side armor. Like, the 6.6 side armor in this thing is pretty garbage, if I'm honest. Like, that's one of the main weaknesses of this tank. And the Object 430 has been very aggressive, and the T71DA might be about to have some problems. So that T10, what's he doing? Is he hiding in the house, or no? What's he doing? Right now he's behind the house. Well, by the time I get there, will he still be behind the house? That's the question. I can't want to push in the low ground here just so I can take the edge off of that T71DA. I feel like me knocking that shit over is probably going to draw attention to me, and I got away with that just about. Holy crap. That was really close timing. The object, what the hell the object, oh right, he's, shit. That's not good. He is literally right in the, What is that guy going to do? Should I go and try and mess with that guy? I think I should. If I can kind of... The more I think about this here, the more this seems like sort of like a maybe bad idea. Because if I push all the way down here towards where this 430 is, I'm a tall tank. I might actually have a tall enough turret that I might be exposed to the tank destroyers over there. Like, that's one thing you do have to keep in the back of your mind with this tank. It is very tall. I mean, it's a T29 turret on top of an M6. Like, those are two big things just melted together. So, let's try and push on this Object 430 and potentially like, pressure him a bit. So, he actually has the health advantage in this fight, and of course he's farm premium. Great. Yeah, I don't think he really thought that through very much. Because now he's in a situation where even his premium rounds are not really going to do that much, if I'm honest. Plus I can shoot down on his roof. Yeah, that guy did not think that through. If he'd gone to my side, then yeah, he would have been fine. But because he didn't, well, he got wrecked. And artillery helped out a lot there as well. I don't know how much damage exactly they did, but they didn't do any damage to me, which is actually a surprise. And definitely helped me deal with that guy, so artillery actually did something good in a close range fight. That's a rarity. So you can see that this tank can bully the crap out of tanks if they're dumb enough to actually drive straight into you, because the weight and the engine power of this tank, the weight and the engine power of this tank just allows it to do so, which is a nice benefit of a tank like this. Now we're in a situation here where is it too risky to try and push forward, because, well, the ISM is kind of around to the side of those enemy tanks, so I guess they're going to be kind of distracted and preoccupied with that guy, so I should be able to hopefully push forward a little bit here and try and get some damage out. And this is one thing I really like doing with this tank, just like poking the front around the corner in a way that's heavily angled, and it allows you to basically maximize your armor effectiveness while while minimizing the weak areas that your tank is exposing. T10 is not a good fight for me because he's a low profile vehicle and it actually makes it difficult for me to shoot him consistently. Deliberately going with a shot to the back of the turret there to see if we can get any module damage, but nah, denied. So let's try and like lead the charge here as best we can. And yeah, that guy's getting shot, I think, in the side. Oh, there's a 50. See, can I actually still see him? I should probably go for a tracking shot here. The reload does feel long on this tank, I will admit. Like, the 320 alpha damage is pretty decent for preferential matchmaking premium, but the reload does feel long. It really does. It's something you do need to be conscious of. But you have to bear in mind, this thing's preferential matchmaking, tanks like the Lava aren't. And this thing has the same alpha damage and roughly equivalent pen. Did that go... I think that may have actually did some damage there, potentially. Right, so let's try and get the shot off on this Lorraine. Wow, the accuracy nearly trolled the crap out of me there. That's actually something I haven't had too many issues with so far. The accuracy seems to be okay for me for the most part. That's the artillery dealt with. Now it's the Scorpion. Wow, that guy was just sitting in the open. That was an interesting idea. Let's just try a blind shot over towards this house again. Oh no, never mind. He had moved. Don't think I'm going to get any more damage out of this game, but that was a pretty solid game. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of this map, that was like some of the worst match making you can get in this tank. Granted, there were tier 7s in this game, but there were tier 9s in this game as well. Like, that was not a bad game at all. Like, that's the first pretty decent game I've had in this tank. I've had okay games in this tank, but that I would actually describe as pretty decent. So let's see what kind of score that'll get us, because like I've determined like from a previous game that I had that 1000 XP only gets you about a second class in this tank. So that was how much XP? 1100 XP gets you a first class. Good to know. I would say you're probably going to need about 1250 to 3000 or 1250 to 3000. 1250 to 1300 XP to probably ace this thing. Going by those numbers. And before any sort of holiday ops bonuses or anything like that, that's 107,000 credits with the premium account. And it cost me about 20,000 credits to play that game, so that would have been about 87,000 credits roughly. And without premium account, that would have been about 51,000 credits. So, as far as credit making, like, probably not the best, but I feel like I've seen worse. I definitely feel like I've seen worse credit makers. So, the tank is interesting to play. It does feel kind of sluggish. If you're not a fan of like slowish tanks, I would probably recommend you avoid this thing. But personally, like I'm probably going to have some fun in this tank. Like I like my like sort of like novelty tanks. Like, I mean, it's the reason why I love the KV5 and why I've got like 1300 games on it or something. What's the games I played in this thing again? 1330. I've got a ridiculous number of games in this tank. I love my like novelty tanks, which are just like odd. Like it's the reason why I got the Marbreaker. Like 100%, that's the reason why I got the Marbreaker. Like, I wouldn't own that tank if it wasn't for the fact that it's just sort of like a novelty vehicle. So yeah, I think this tank could be pretty good. Like, I actually don't mind playing it. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I guess like having 10 degrees gun depression, 320 alpha, 204 pen on preferential matchmaking premium, I guess that kind of has to be a decent mix, even if top speed's kind of low. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video in the comment section below. What do you guys think of the vehicle, and what do you think of the fact that Wargaming is selling this after, well, they've done it multiple times already, so I'm pretty sure the debate on this has already been like sort of sorted out. But what do you guys think of this thing being sold, even though it was originally supposed to be exclusive to pre-orders for the game? Like, personally, I'm kind of split on that, because I really like the fact that I have one, but I also feel kind of bad for the people who ordered this thing, or well, the people who bought this thing and were told that it would never be sold again. It wasn't like a timed exclusive, because at that point in time that wasn't really a thing in gaming, because bear in mind, this thing was released like 8 years ago. Like, that wasn't really a thing in games at that point in time, like timed exclusives as far as I'm aware. So nowadays, looking back on it, like, if this game was released today and this tank was released today, then I think this thing 100% would have been a timed exclusive. But it was originally promised to be a permanently exclusive vehicle to the people who bought it at that point in time. So yeah, I wonder what you guys actually like think of that, because personally I find it kind of, I feel kind of bad for those people, but I also pretty happy that I own one. So it's tricky for me to make a decision on that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video in the comment section below. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one.